Hey, welcome back to the Florida Boat Guide. Today, this episode is all about the Autopilot. And what I just got, this is my new Garmin Reactor 40 Autopilot pump. It's a little bigger. What's installed on my boat right now is the compact reactor. It was installed in 2018, and I've consistently been getting pump stall errors. Anything under planing speed, the boat works fine. Up to about 8 miles an hour, the Autopilot works fantastic. Anything faster than that, I'm just losing it every time. It won't hold the heading and starts erroring out, giving me a beeping sound. So, kind of excited. We're gonna go drop this off at Sunray. This is the new pump. This is the piece we're replacing. The computer, all the other components are all still good to go. So hopefully it's a quick swap out, and going to go through the initial setup, install, and everything about the new Garmin Reactor 40 Autopilot system. All right, good afternoon. Today is Autopilot day. Just picked the boat up from Sunray earlier this morning. They've got the new unit installed, so I'll anchor out here as soon as I get out of the marina. We'll take a look at what they did, and they're gonna go through a full setup and sea trial of what's going on here. All right? All right, had an overheat alarm there before I even got out of the marina, and found there's a drain plug in the midsection of the unit that when they were doing the oil change, they didn't put back in. So the cooling water was not circulating, but luckily, quick fix, and I had an extra one of those plugs that fit. So anyway, engine's running fine now, so I'm gonna come out here into St. Joseph Sound. The tide's high enough here I can run outside the channel, and we're gonna do the full install, or the Autopilot kind of initiation setup, and see what all it wants to do here. All right, so here's my cabin, and this is where we chose to install the Autopilot. This is where the prior Autopilot was installed, underneath here in the helm. So we've got the new pump, we've got heading sensor here, and then in back there with that light, that is the course computer that controls everything, and then it all connects to the Garmin via NEMA 2000 networks. So pretty cool. I got the spot here right behind the helm where we can run those hydraulic lines, so let's get it set up. Okay, here's my screen. Let's see how well we see it. I'm on the Autopilot settings here. So I'm gonna do Autopilot setup, Autopilot installation. All right, we've got to do that. And all right, I've had a couple people ask to do this video, just a little bit more about the Autopilot. So then we got the new unit. I'm in the Dockside Wizard. Nope, I don't want the Dockside Wizard. I want the Sea Trial Wizard. So I'm gonna hit begin on that. And use the throttle to determine which speed the boat transitions from displacement to planing, which I already know. Planing speed about 14. Yep, so we're gonna just leave that for now. And then maximum speed of the boat, we're gonna below that because this was set up with the old motor, and maximum speed's about 38. Okay, so turn the boat, either calibrate the compass, keep the boat level and steady. So I'm gonna do that now. Begin. And we're just doing a nice slow turn while this calibrates the compass. All right. I don't know, I'll have to look at calibration quality 64, but it says it is done. So we're gonna go to our next step here. Bring the engines to a constant RPM below planing speed. Autopilot will drive the boat 15 zigzag cycles. So I'm gonna get it over nice little, bring up the RPM just a little bit, straighten out. We got some shallow, but we got some water underneath. This should be okay here for a little bit. So I'm gonna let it do its thing here, bring her up a little bit, just all right, and begin. Gotta let her do its thing. Status in process. Autopilot is doing some zigzags, turning the motor back and forth. And Autotune status says about 26%. So we're going to let that just zigzag us back and forth until it's done. Zigzagging, Autopilot in setup mode. All right, Autotune success. All right, at least 45 seconds of hazard-free water. So we got to get up on plane here. this is always where I had trouble with the other unit. It tells you where your heading is held and then how far off you are. Seems to be working. She's holding us right where we need to be. At planing speed. So this is my other autopilot pump would not hold the boat on course at planing speed, only going slow. So so far this is doing exactly what it needs to do. Okay, so we're going through Honeymoon Pass here, and I'm not on plane, as you can see, and I've just got a standard heading hold, just going out to sea, and want to do a little bit of observation here. And first thing, so you can see, autopilot is turning, and one thing I will say so far I've noticed, a lot more accurate and a lot less jerky than the compact reactor. I don't know what the difference is. But the motor is not moving nearly as much as it did with the other one, and it's holding the heading just dead on. And you can see behind me here, normally with the compact reactor I'd get a pretty decent zigzag pattern. It was constantly adjusting. This one is not moving quite as much, holding steady. So really liking that so far. So a little bit of wind today, about 10 knots. Going to go out there and see what we do on plane with a little bit of wave. See if we can hold some heading out there. Okay, we've got about 10 knots of wind out here in the Gulf, which is kind of what I wanted to see. These are the conditions the other autopilot would not work. Anytime we get waves like this, the other autopilot pump would just stall out. So right now I've got a heading hold, and let's see, we got some decent seas out here, 2 to 3 footers, giving me a pretty good ride. She is holding really well, staying right there. I don't know if you can see, 302, not much deviation. I'll try to turn around without dropping the GoPro. As you can see, she is holding perfectly steady, not moving one bit. So that's fantastic. That is doing exactly what I needed it to do. And now, when we've got conditions like this, I can safely let the boat keep its heading and work other things, trim taps, throttle, kind of work some of that, keeping the waves at bay, and the autopilot's going to do its thing. So really happy with it. Just want to show you how sporty it is out here. I tell you what, 2 thumbs up for this new Garmin Reactor 40 Autopilot. It's made a huge difference. Trusting that the boat is going to keep its course and not having to constantly watch it. So, take a quick little look, and we'll turn around and take it back to the screen. Alright, it's time for Customer of the Week. I had a guy call me, a sailor, wanted to have a sailboat cleaned out, and I told him I needed the boat to be close enough to the dock I could run the hose out, and I was just kind of joking about getting old and not being able to roll drums of fuel anymore, and he said, well, I'm 101, so I don't know what your excuse is. And I thought he was kidding, but anyway, I looked up the guy, his address he gave me, and he's actually 101, so I'm going to call him real quick. Pretty funny. Look it up, sure enough. Look at this. This guy turns 100. He's still sailing. Okay, so this guy is definitely the Customer of the Week. Apparently he is a decorated World War II veteran. He was a chief navigator for the United States Air Force. While serving, flew 48 successful missions from England to Europe during World War II, received the Flying Cross. As a chief navigator, he flew 2 presidents, Eisenhower and Truman. Like I said, he's 101 and is still sailing his boat. So This guy's amazing. Hopefully I get to meet him here in a couple weeks. He's waiting on his dock to get put in, and wants me to come polish the fuel on a sailboat. So very cool. Always get to meet interesting people in this job. All right, good afternoon and welcome back to the Floor Boat Guy. Today is Barefoot Edition. So what is the Florida Boat Guy doing barefoot in the water? Well, that's a good question. I underbid this job. This guy told me, yeah, no problem. He'll back right up to it, right up to the ramp. He neglected to tell me that at high tide, the boat ramp is underwater. So, luckily ground is pretty firm, but we're underwater here. So I've got to run the hose out to not that catamaran, but this one, and it's a Pro Cat, and actually very cool boat, but he's got some bad fuel in there with water in it, so we're going to try and clean that up for him. Like I said, I'm going barefoot today, but gonna go hop aboard here in just a second and we'll take a look. All right, hopping aboard this Pro Cat here. I'm not quite sure the year. I'll try to figure it out. It's just been repowered last year with these twin Mercury Verado 350 horsepower outboards. So hopping aboard now, let's take a look at this thing. Okay, on board now, and I'm going to kind of wait in the shade here while the pump's going, emptying out these tanks for the owner. And catamarans are always very cool. Love to have a catamaran. Who wouldn't want a catamaran? You get this wide space, they ride great, great fuel efficiently, all kinds of great benefits to having a catamaran. The problem is, where do you keep it? They're so wide, they're so big. This guy's got his own dock, so obviously not a problem for him. So you can tell, kind of similar to my boat. Did all new acrylic dash panel with the Garmin installed, digital Mercury display, and nice, at least 2, maybe 3 people sit on that bench. We got some seating, fish boxes. They clearly use this boat for fishing. It'll also be a great setup for diving, anything going down to the Keys, and you can see this is a wide boat. And this is what's cool. This boat's almost set up like a fish camp. Look at the bunks and the sleeping space. It is just wide open in here. And on this side we have a small galley area. Looks like he's taking the stove out. Obviously air conditioning vents. Space for 2 people there. A little refrigerator they've put. Then you come down here. Another bunk. Like some rod holders, and then a head area. So, man, a lot of space, and that's what's cool about the catamaran. Look at just how wide this is. So, I'm headed back up to the top here. So off the back, we've got this great, and I always call this a dive platform. And if you've got scuba gear on your back, this is a great way to get in the water. Nice, wide open, away from the motors. And we're doing the tanks right here. Looks like this tank's about done, so going to finish up this one and then move over to the starboard tank. Okay, all finished up on that Pro Cat. Fuel tanks are emptied out, and tide is coming back down a little bit, but you see we're still parked in it. So heading on out of here. Okay, all finished up on the Pro Cat. That was a really cool boat. I should always know better when the customer says, oh yeah, it's real easy, you can back right up to it. So had to go barefoot and have some wet feet there for a little bit with the high tide, but got him taken care of. So I'm headed back over in Apollo Beach, so headed back to St. Petersburg now for the next one.